Hello and welcome to the Animators Shake-Up, a webcast where animators talk about animation. On this episode, I chat with Jonny from Chicken Fruit Studio. Jonny is a 3D and 2D animator, often texturizing 3D to look like 2D. Why not listen along while you work on your own animations and have us for company? So sit back, relax, as we shake it up with some fellow animators on the Animators Shake-Up.
Hello and welcome to the Animators Shake-Up. Today I'm joined by Jonny from Chicken Fruit.
Yes,
is that right?
Chicken Fruit, yeah.
Yes, wicked. I always see like the egg and I'm always like, because there's like an egg logo. Yeah. And I'm always like, egg, but no, Chicken Fruit.
Well, the chicken fruit is the egg, is the fruit of a chicken.
Of course. That makes so much sense. That is suddenly just clicked in my brain and that is fantastic. Well, you have got a milkshake in front of you there. What have you gone for?
Well, I've been agonising over this milkshake for weeks.
I
trying
bet.
to figure out which one I'd go for. And I think I've been sort of leaning into my basic era. So I was, because I tried for a lot of complicated ones, but I think I was going to go with just like a really good thick strawberry one because, you know, there's so many flavors on that menu board up there. And I'm just like, I just want to see what your basic version looks like. And I want to see how well you do a strawberry milkshake.
It's a staple of evaluation and comparison.
Yeah.
You're really putting to the test the Animators Shake-Up ice cream parlour.
Yeah, I just really want you to get that right. And if you do get that right, then I'll branch out into all the myriad of other...
that's fair.
Other ones. So I think...
That's totally justified.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have just plain strawberry with a real strawberry just kind of put on top, just to prove that it's made of real strawberries. Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's like, no, these are like home, you know, the proper like homemade places where you would go for like, I don't know, like for a bit posh, like, a controversial, for like a scone or a scone. And they're like, no, we use locally grown strawberries plucked. So here's a slice of the strawberries on top. The fancy places.
Yeah, I just want them to just nail that. You know?
Yes. So do you have like a place that you have had your perfect strawberry milkshake before that you're then like comparing it to? Then do you like always go to a new establishment and go, I'll have a strawberry milkshake please, and then really you're like testing?
I think what I've learned recently is that I'm so basic like that I can't get such joy out of a simple strawberry milkshake. Although I've been whenever I go to like somewhere like Shake Shack, I get a black and white shake from there and they're really, really good.
What is that? Like, I'll be honest with you, I think I've been to Shake Shack once.
Yeah.
But definitely not sponsored. I wasn't blown away, you know? And I have no idea what you mean by a black and white shake.
Well, I didn't either, and then I bought it, and I thought it was just going to be like an Oreo one. You know,
that's what I'm guessing.
Blend an Oreo in. But apparently, according... I saw just the black and white shake, and it was just like, oh, this is sort of chocolatey and vanilla-y, great. And then I saw a black and white cookie that you can get from one of the bagel places, and I saw a black and white cookie from one of the bagel places nearby, and it's a black and white cookie is just a staple of like American Manhattan like bakeries around there. So a black and white shake is like an American shake,
right? So
I was just like, oh, it actually has like connotations outside of just being the colors black and white. So I was like, oh great, it's lovely. So
it was like a vanilla, is that what you were saying?
I think it's just vanilla and chocolate, but they've made it a black and white, like the thing is just like named after the cookie sort of thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've never heard of this. This is just... the last person we had on was like very into America as well. And I was like, I've never heard of all these...
There's so many like niche things like that in like so many different parts of America that it's just like, you'll see like just because like the bagel place that we saw, it's one of those like ones that was on Instagram food blogger, so it's got like a queue right around the corner, and then and it's just had a black and white cookie, and I was like, hold on, is that the same thing as the shake? And I just suddenly like everything clicked.
Yeah.
And it's like the sort of neurons, I could sort of feel them connecting.
Yeah.
In my brain, I was like, oh,
pathway made.
Things
it's like
are
me
named
with the logo.
like things are named for things. Great.
Oh, you just also like you spark something else in my brain there. Sort of thinking about those like TikTok influencer restauranty kind of establishments, and I was thinking, what is the next closest thing we have in the UK to that? And I remember there was that big, I'm not sure if you heard about it, but there was that big push or big wave of interest into this like fish and chip place that was just the most kind of like somewhat like trashy fish and chips, like really greasy, like ultimate like cheap fish and chips.
Oh, it was like the Bingley Big Chippy or something like that. It's just like the worst fish and chip shop.
Yes, that's
like
it.
again,
But
not sponsored there because it is like a greasy fish and chip shop. But it's but yeah, it just got for some reason like TikTok famous, didn't it?
Yeah. And the queue was just like insane. I do wonder like if they've still got that same, like it doesn't have to be as big, but like maybe like half. I wonder if it's still with just a flash flood of interest and they just died out immediately.
Yeah. Maybe they've got like just pictures on the wall of like
the time
the time that you might remember us from.
And the celebrities who went.
Yeah. Just like screenshots from like Instagram and things this guy came to visit.
I love that it's just like the really crap version of just like a really pristine black and white bagel cookie. We're just like, no, we've got really crap fish and chip shop equivalent fame. Not for its prestigious food quality. It's just
it's
because of how bizarre it is.
Yeah, it's just got a fun name. It's just called the Big Chippy.
Yeah. Luckily, I say luckily, maybe one day I'll try it. I haven't gone with a fish and chip themed milkshake today, actually. But now that we talk about it, part of me thinks that would actually be incredible.
Oh, because it's the mix of savoury and like dairy. Like, is that what you've gone for?
It isn't what I've gone for.
What have you
but
gone
now for? I'm imagining, first of all, like we have mushy what's it, potato mash. So maybe you could have like a chip and vinegar. Actually, would the vinegar and the milk curdle?
Oh, I have no idea. Like, it's making me gip thinking about it.
Well, I didn't go with that.
Okay,
I didn't go with that.
Good.
So you can,
knowing that this place has the capacity to make that is
it does. It does.
They can make anything.
Yes, it can. A couple of episodes ago, someone had a grass milkshake.
Yes.
But they just panicked at that point. It was just, again, it's just too much choice. But I've gone with a lemon sorbet.
Ooh, nice
milkshake.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have as much milk in it. It's more just like, sorbet, refreshing. It's been quite warm, and I'm like, you know what? But I'll be honest with you, it's like resulting in quite pursed lips. By the end of this, I'm going to be speaking with a really tight, shrill.
It could be like a Solero. So you get like a layer of like sort of fruit juicy milkshake sorbet, and then like a layer of milkshake, and then
oh my gosh!
So you've made yourself a little like stack.
And in between the two layers would definitely be curdle. I think.
I don't think. Oh, I don't think it would.
Oranges would because of the citrus, but then lemon would that? Maybe it would. It's going to turn into a cooking channel now. Welcome to the cooking podcast Shake Up.
It's a cooking podcast where we don't actually have any information. We just go, that could work.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe try it.
it's all theoretical.
Yeah.
And it's all terrible.
Yeah.
With no knowledge whatsoever.
Whole load of just disgusting food that you come away with at the end.
Actually, there's like, isn't there something like people who like dream food combinations? They like put it on Reddit. They just sort of like they would dream a food combination and they put the ingredients on Reddit. Then some people would actually try to make it and see if it actually tasted all right. Have you heard of this?
I have not, but because you mentioned it was a Reddit thread, a subreddit, then it doesn't surprise me that it doesn't exist.
No, there's like a YouTube channel. It's not their main thing, but I think they're like members. I'm not sure if you've heard of like the Yogscast, but they're members of the Yogscast. It's like Bryony and Kirsty, and they try these foods and they will taste them. Often than not, they're like actually good, which I'm quite shocked with some of the ideas they come up with. But it's a similar vein of like bizarre combinations that might end up being incredible. But aside from weird combinations of food, tell us about you. Like you're an animator, but what do you do? Tell us about that.
Okay, so there's let's start again. So I'm co-owner of Chicken Fruit Animation Studio, which is a small animation studio that I own with my partner Lindsay. We've been going for about 6 years. So our studio is basically our pandemic baby.
Nice. Yeah.
So we've been sort of working just out of our spare room. We do just animated anything we can sort of get our hands on. So we work a lot with charities, and we've been making our short film for the past few years. And we work we just work together, basically just us two. So we sort of say that Lindsay's the words and I'm the pictures. So she's the producer and she sort of organizes everything and does get her hands dirty with animation sometimes as well, when like there's just a few things that would get a bit too repetitive for my stupid brain sometimes, and she really likes that kind of stuff. So
amazing.
I will outsource some of that to her sometimes. But yeah, majority of the time it's me working on the animation and Lindsay producing and keeping everything non-actually making it just organized.
Amazing. What a fantastic combo.
It's great.
So you say it's been around for 6 years, but you must have clearly been animating before that.
Yes.
How long have you been animating for, as well as the company? I went to
Northumbria University. Can't get those two mixed up because rivalries between sort of the real one and the Polytechnic. They fight.
Right. Yes.
So I went to Northumbria University for motion graphics and animation when motion graphics was new, and it was quite a fun course to do. That was like, I met a lot of really cool people I'm still friends with now. We'd sort of all work, a few of us like work in London together on projects and things like that. It's really nice. And yeah, from uni, I kind of like, I didn't get a job immediately after university, which felt a little bit like, oh, well, you messed up there. Like it can sometimes feel when you're at university, it's like, okay, well, as long as I get my final film done,
right, yes,
and make a good final year film, I'm going to get a job in the industry. And then at the end of that, I just didn't. And I went and worked in a shop for a bit and just worked on the side doing like odd animation jobs here and there, like like YouTube intros, and I worked with a little film company just doing bits here and there. And then I did like poster designs and just sort of all that kind of like graphic design adjacent stuff. And I really liked sort of motion graphics and all that kind of stuff back then. And then I moved to London, where I got a job doing work in advertising, and I worked at a small animation and motion graphics company as well, just in central London, and just did loads of variations of work. It's hard to explain. They did like loads of explainer videos and again just like TV intros and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
It was
Yeah.
pretty fun. And then I worked at MPC for a year and a bit. And then I worked at the Mill. None of these places exist anymore as of like a few months
gosh.
ago, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then since then I was sort of freelance doing animation and motion graphics and things like that for a few companies around London. And then got the opportunity to just like, have a home studio and sort of start working on, our own stuff for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been a career so far of just like hopping around.
Yeah, I was going to say like that is like so many formats of work environment, and you raised like a really important point, which is something because I lecture at a film school, and the obsession that most students have with I've just got to make this film. That's the point of why I'm here. But it's really, it's about getting yourself ready for work. It's not about this film. Like you can make films afterwards as well. But yeah, it's not the be all and end all.
No,
but
definitely not.
It's also fascinating that you have worked in so many places. I think that is really interesting, and different kinds of places as well.
Yeah,
like a video production company to an actual animation specific one. Did you find that there were any specific differences that you noticed when comparing the two kinds of environments?
It's interesting. I think I just quite enjoyed not really knowing what jobs I was going to be doing next. I quite like the variation in that. So it happens when you go freelance, when you're sort of freelancing in like studios and things like that, where you sort of have a rough idea sort of what you might be doing. Sort of like before you sign an NDA, it's like you might be doing a bit of 3D and some comping, and it's like, okay, I can do that. So it could be anything. And then when you get there, it could either be like a Marvel film or a toothpaste advert. Like it could be anything. And then, but yeah, I just quite like that kind of variation. So going into, I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, I think I think you've kind of looked at it across the idea of working in a company in general. It's like you don't know what you're in for, but it's nice to be kind of fed a massive range of potential kinds of projects and not knowing it and adapting, I suppose. Because I've worked as the animator in a video production company. And the thing which I found the most interesting about that is that everyone else there has got no idea. They have no idea what is involved with your side of things at all. So it's just there's just so many barriers of communication that you've got to say, this is possible, this isn't possible, here's why. Can't you just do this? No. We need to approach it this way. But I suppose if you're working in an animation studio where everyone there is an animator, I presume things are a lot quicker and you resonate and communicate easier. Have you found that?
All that kind of stuff is shielded from you by a good producer.
Right.
So when you go to a bigger studio, it's the producer's already dragged the information from the client and told them what's possible, and like the senior designer's already like locked in what's happening and things like that. So by the time you get in, it's just like you've just got a brief of what you have to do, which is great. And we have that here at Chicken Fruit as well, where a lot of the time when you're sort of like you said, you were the sole animator in your company, if you're the only point of contact between like other people, you have to spend some of your time just sort of going, explaining how this thing works that you kind of know visually and you know intuitively. But you can't really put it down into words very well unless you've like practiced it a lot. So having a good producer to do that is just a godsend.
And I think the key to that is working with a producer that knows animation. Like again, like when you work with producers who've only worked in film and then they're getting you in, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like working with two clients at once, because you feel like you are trying to adhere to the company that you are working in and the actual client who they've got, whose project you're working on. I think that's the key thing. That's unfortunately the luxury I haven't had with many with many projects. Everyone's just like, got no idea, but you're here, thanks. And I'm like, oh gosh, please educate yourself a bit.
Sometimes it's quite good just sort of keeping the mystery though, because it's just like, trust me, it's just magic to you. Just trust me to get it done. And then sometimes they just go, you know what, I haven't got time to get into why this is going to work. So just go ahead and do it. And
that is also true.
Bring back exactly what I want.
That is very true. Yeah, you can keep the art an art and provide results. I suppose the only issue is if they don't like it and you go, oh no. How far back do we have to change? Oh no.
Yeah, I think that's something that I learned quite early on, is like keeping your project as procedural as possible, because you never know who's going to come in with like some client feedback or something like that, where it's like, oh, can we make this blue? And it's like, well, that's doable, because I can just like go and change this one little thing and it'll change the rest of the project, so that should be fine. But it's just like, the more of those projects you do, I guess the more you learn about what kind of things clients want to change. So you can kind of anticipate that and build your projects in such a way that makes sort of like clients happy.
Yeah. Can we change the hairstyle? No. We cannot change that.
Yeah.
Hair color, fine.
And I think that's another one that's like, having a good producer is like so good for, because they, having someone setting that expectation of what is doable to clients at every step, and just like that kind of constant communication. It's like, okay, after this animatic, you can't make changes to timing. After this version of the render, you can't make changes to like locked character animation. And it's just like setting those milestones per project, I guess, is like, it's so like handy.
Absolutely.
And like, that's something I sort of struggled with when I was working by myself, or like freelancing, or like trying to organize doing like, projects by myself before we started Chicken Fruit, was just that I wasn't very good at communicating when something wasn't either going to be done on time, or like if something was, I would just say yes to a lot of stuff, and not kind of set a sort of good expectation, and I just end up stressing myself out. And I'm like, I can't show anyone anything until it's done, but it's going to be done in like 5 days, and they're asking where it is. But I don't want to show them anything unfinished. And I would just like, I'd sort of get in that little spiral. And just producers are amazing.
They are. Yeah. Shall we have a almost like a cheers sip of our milkshakes, in cheers of producers, good producers.
Producers, you're all amazing. Hold on. Sound effect.
My lemon is that is very sour, actually.
You know what?
How is the strawberry?
They have
strawberry
nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
They've done it again.
They've done it again. I don't know how they do it every time.
Every time, even when it's grass.
Even when it's grass. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to get more adventurous next time. Now that you know, they can nail that. The staple is there.
If they come around asking for if we need anything else, if it is table service here, which I don't think that.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, no, it's just a fixed robot at the at the counter.
Yeah, and it's one per session because they've been famous on. They've been put on like one of those Instagram food blogs. So it's like they've got a limit, one per customer.
You can't see it, but on the other side of the building, it's just a massive queue. It just goes on and on.
And they're so respectful as well. They're so quiet.
They are. They literally. People are waiting an hour for us to finish. It's okay. We'll take our time. Yeah, there is. Yeah, everything else just reserved out for us. Very premium. Very premium.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, yes, absolutely. Love producers.
Yes.
You guys are amazing. Those of you listening, and those maybe people listening want to never thought about being an animation producer. I think there's a lot of people who don't even consider that as a role. They just go, I am the animator. I want to be an animator. But they don't go, well, actually, I do kind of think like a producer and I'm an animator.
Yeah. Like you need to have a lot of like knowledge of how animation works. So to actually be a good animation producer. So like if you're a person who like knows a lot about the craft, but doesn't necessarily want to get like into the actual making of it, then yeah, maybe an animation producer is like the job for you.
Yeah, one for everyone to think about. Exactly. Even me, maybe. I try it for a bit.
I think it's one of those that like you watch all these. I watch so many making ofs of like animation and film and games and all sorts of stuff like that, and I love behind the scenes stuff. And all the things kind of show you like the director and maybe an interview with an animator. So for a long time, you kind of go, okay, I can be one of those two things. Yeah. But I think just like, it's a lot more open now as like information about like different hierarchies of where you could sort of fit into a pipeline. And there's no like, you can sort of dabble as well these days, I think. So you can a bit of anything.
Yeah, there's so many projects on the go. There's so many opportunities. I mean, with because I've seen Loneliness and Laundry, your short film, which recently screened at Brighton's International Animation Film Festival. It was beautiful. I loved it. It was this, for those of you who haven't seen it or haven't heard about it, it's this really beautiful 3D with elements of 2D, or at least stylized in a two-dimensional way at times, that is about someone, I presume, it's all kind of like alluded, but sort of after a breakup, and they find laundry that reminds them of someone. That's just my interpretation. I might be off.
Oh, do you know what? I'm not going to tell you what our intention was because I like that people can read it differently. So
let's keep it mystery. Keep it mystery. Yeah. But yeah, that's my interpretation. And they smell this laundry, and it reminds them of somebody, and it's this beautiful little of interaction with the laundry in a way that is very loving and caring, and it's wonderfully, like, it's sensual, I think is how I'd describe it.
Thank you.
And there's the thing which I'm a massive sucker for, and it is stories that are sensitive.
Yeah,
I love them. I absolutely adore those kind of films. And I suppose, like, to bring a question to you is, how do you make a sensitive film?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Making a sensitive film, I think it's not anything we kind of like set out to do as like, oh, we want to make a film that is like resonates in that kind of way. I think we just had like two ideas that we wanted to like smush together to make this film, whereas like that feeling of first of all, a feeling of like isolation, which is we started writing this at the beginning of the pandemic, so that's something that was very like prominent in everyone's heads, like but then we had the idea of someone. It's something that we sort of really struggle with, like I personally really struggle with anyway, is like asking for help when people are offering you their help. So we sort of wanted to make a film about that would sort of be like therapy to us, where we could learn the lesson from our film, where we always think we can sort of do everything ourselves, and being an independent studio, you don't want to bother other people with, oh, can you come and help us out on this project or something like that. But yeah, I think what we're kind of slowly learning is that like people are so much more willing to like help you when than you think. You just need to send them a text, and just sort of ask, and people are usually just like, yeah, fine, yeah, I'll come give you a hand. But then the other side of this film was just like there was just one cold day where we had a big pile of warm laundry, and I just fell into it, and it was warm and cozy, and I wanted to make a film that kind of like had that one moment in where it's like it's just warm, and we sort of smushed those ideas together, and the story kind of evolved into something that was quite a sort of sensitive, gentle film, which it just kind of sort of evolved into that from just a lot of different like story points that we wanted to put in, and just sort of streamlining it out until it was just that one sort of core idea, I guess. And it just ended up being something that was quite, it's just quite gentle, and I quite liked it.
Yeah, I think there's because I'm sort of trying to sort of string together some sort of patterns of various kind of medias that I see that approach these kind of not questions, but like feelings, interactions that we kind of have with the day to day. So like yours being, I fell into this warm laundry on a cold day, and it triggered some feeling in your body that which it's so hard to describe to someone.
Yeah.
That you need to feel it, or in our case, you need to animate it. And I do wonder if it's like when you approach these kind of very subtle experiences, that they naturally lend themselves to being sensitive. If because we'll need to kind of like draw that moment out into almost like a narrative, I suppose. But I feel like the more subtle an interaction, the more sensitive you can be, because you're getting people to stop to reflect on that feeling for a longer period of time than just falling into it and being like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's like you've got so many different things happen to you on like during the day, that if you stop and think about one thing, it's like, why did I like that one thing? And then the more you kind of ponder on it, it's like you can go as deep as you want. It's like, I really like this because it takes me back to this other thing that happened in my life or something like that. Like, you can get really deep, or it was warm and it was cold today. Like, I think if you start like you said, just stop and think about it, and you can add as many layers of meaning onto a story like that as you want. And I think you're right. Like, just animation just lends itself to exploring that kind of space.
I think the thing which I love about animation so much is that it really encourages an audience or someone partaking in it to be playful, and I think that's the thing which I think is what makes it a superior medium to pretty much everything else. It's because you can get people to play with you. Essentially, you get like, here's how my mind palace of how I've played on this thought, this emotion, this feeling. We invite you to come and play along too. And,
it's something that I think Howard Ashman said, where it's like the suspension of disbelief in animation is so much more heightened that you can get away with so much more like depth with less with less like realism. So I think you can have you can just what was the thing I was going to say? It was just more like it was right there.
That's all right. If it crops back up, because I always play on this idea of because I always make even my live action stuff. I do fantasy because I like to almost get people's guard down. So they go, "Oh, this is just escapism."
Yeah,
and then you go, bam, emotion. You weren't thinking about that, were you? Now you are.
Yeah, it's why people. I think that's why people like something like Bluey so much. Like adults love Bluey because they go, "Oh, this is just a kids' TV show. Look at it. It's setting that." When you sort of see the intro and it's bright colors and simple characters, you go, "Oh, this is a kids' show." And then a parent will like just get hit in the heart with like some raw like parenting emotion, and they go, oh, that really made me feel something. Then because it was just like your expectation has been set at a certain level of suspension of disbelief, and then you can turn around and just like really get them. Get him.
And I think animation gets everyone's guards down every time. Even if you're at a film festival and you've watched like 16 emotionally crippling short films, the 17th one comes on, you're like, oh, you will see how this goes, and you come out once again. They got me again.
Damn it!
Every time.
How do they keep doing that?
It's just a slightly different art style. Like, this will. I can
know what's going to happen in this one.
Yeah.
This art style is going to be a comedy.
Yeah.
No, wiping away tears.
I love it though. I love it. I mean, speaking about different styles, different art styles, because so much of your work is 3D. I believe you do have, I think I've seen here and there, 2D animation as well. But with a lot of your 3D, it always feels like it's trying to simulate or ground itself or emulate two-dimensional aspects or textures, things like that. I'm curious because, like, where do you sit with these on a personal level with your own projects? So, for example, if you could and had no limit of time, or if they both took the same amount of time, would you always be leaning to doing 2D, or do you kind of like mix 2D and do you mix 3D and make it look 2D as like a stylistic choice or like an efficiency choice? I'm very curious to see like hear about your approaches to each of the style choices that you make based on 2D or 3D.
I think I really try and pair the style to the project.
Yeah.
So I think if I went into every single project going, I want to make a 2D, 3D hybrid, and then they're like, cool, but this is that style would not match that, and I went, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyway because I really want to. I think it's sort of wrestling with that all the time. It's like what I think is cool is not necessarily what the project needs. And when it comes to something like Loneliness and Laundry, we knew that we had like a film that would be very like, you know, like you said, like gentle and sensitive, and we felt like 2D animation and sort of hand painted backgrounds would match that feeling. And because I think because I did a film previously that was all 3D animation, and I think that style matched that film because there was a lot of like hard edges, and it was all very like based on like how light interacts with a world and things like that, and you get a lot of like good light interactions with 3D animation. But I think with this one, it was just like we wanted it warm and to feel cozy, and I think that that kind of hand painted animation style like worked for that one. And I think it's just trying to pair it with the theme of what you're making, I guess. But with Loneliness and Laundry, we earlier on, because we knew we wanted to sort of emulate that 2D style, we were like, okay, we'll try and do something procedural. And for us, it didn't get that feeling across every sort of test that we did. And we ended up hand drawing most of it anyway. So we say it's a 3D film that accidentally turned into a 2D film because all the backgrounds were hand painted, and all the sort of line work that we did was all like frame by frame.
Yeah.
Just because we wanted that style for that animation.
Yeah. What was it then that that first got you like excited about getting into animation? Was there like a particular thing which you watched of a certain style that you went, that I either want to recreate that, or there's something about that that's hooked me? Was there something that resonates in your memory?
I think for like such a long time, animation, and especially like 3D animation, felt so out of reach. Like when I'm when I was a teenager, the closest bit of 3D that I could get my hands on was like AutoCAD. So making like geometric objects, and I was trying to like force that to do 3D animation, and it's just like, no, this is CAD, you can't do that. So I'd sort of tried a bit of that when I was younger, and I was just like, well, you know what, I like graphic design, I like making posters and logos and layouts and stuff like that. Really into typography, I really liked that. And then one of my friends at college started doing some animation, and I think I could only chalk it up to jealousy. And I just looked at it and I was like, oh, that's really fun, I want to do that. And I ended up going to university to do motion graphics and animation, which is the first year they were doing that course. And previously I did a year of multimedia design, which, I think the iPhone hadn't come out then. I'm really, really aging myself when I say that. But yeah, the iPhone hadn't come out. So multimedia design was like making Flash websites and making like real-time installations and things like that. And I wasn't quite vibing with it. And then they said, oh, we're going to start this animation course instead. And I was just like, you know what? Yes, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, this sounds like a really good combo, actually. Because I think that's a great combo. That mixing motion graphics with animation, because then you're sort of getting that professional client-based approach to design, as well as also playing with the freedom of animating anything you'd like as well. That's really smart. Speaking from like a lecturer perspective, I like that. That's good.
Yeah, I think it's because I think the course leaders were coming from like a graphic design side, so bringing that design sensibility to animation and just sort of going, here's like different modules with different like things we can learn. So we did do like a real-time animation one using a program called Touch Designer, which is still around now, which is amazing. So yeah, if you want to get into real-time design, like that's so good. And then we learned Maya, which is the biggest, most daunting 3D animation software they could put in front of us. So in a way, it kind of made every other bit of 3D animation software look easy after that. And they just kind of did a typography module and just sort of all sorts of stuff. And then in your second and third year, they just got to go and make what you want for your final project based on all the stuff we've taught you.
Yeah, good fun. Yeah, because I started with 3ds Max.
Yeah.
And luckily, as soon as like the free student license ran out, Blender had just done its like update of where it actually looked as though it was a software and not just like a coding platform.
Nice.
And so the transition was actually kind of smooth. I was like, this is great. And now I'm in love with Blender. Well, to an extent where when it works, I'm in love with Blender.
Yeah. Same with all software for me.
Yeah.
Like After Effects is nice until it really isn't.
Yeah.
Cinema 4D is great until it really isn't. Like software is the bane of my life sometimes.
Yes. Best friend. And then you hate it.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's a terrible relationship.
It's so toxic.
Yeah. Like I think we sort of felt it a bit on the last project where it's like you're butting up against the limitations of the software that you use sometimes, and you're just asking it to do things that it just whinges about.
Yeah.
And I just and you just end up falling out with your software sometimes, and you like personally I get a bit sad when I'm trying to do something that I think is really simple, but Cinema 4D is like going, no, I don't want to do that.
I totally get that. I'm like, I think when that happens, I just go, I'm so disappointed in you. Yes. I thought you were better than this. I could have done that. I could have just hand drawn it by this point.
All I do is like when Cinema 4D is having a crash, I just like open a new tab and go download Blender, and then sometimes it just wakes up and goes, no, don't, I can change.
Like blackmailing it. Come on.
I could do stylized animation, I swear.
Oh my gosh. I mean, okay. What has been your most complicated project?
Oh, it must be the one. Like, just because it's fresh in my mind, it's one that we've just finished for.
Are you allowed to talk about this one yet?
No, we are allowed to talk about this one. Okay. Great. It's one that we did for. So the most complicated one, yeah. Okay, so for a bit of context, there's a place in Tottenham Court Road in London called the Outernet, and it's a giant 5-screen. If for just one of the buildings is a giant 5-screen immersive experience, and we were so lucky to have the opportunity to make something for those screens, and it was something we'd not done before. So just sort of learning the process of making something for that instead of, we're used to making stuff for Instagram and 16:9 1080p films, and then each of these screens is 8K and 50 FPS. And
I was going to ask what the resolution was. Slight shift.
Slight shift. They have a really handy diagram on the things that you use. It's like, this is how big a regular screen is, and it's so small on the giant south wall that they've got there.
Gosh.
So I think just the learning curve for something like that was like steep. But like having come out the other end, it feels like worth having done all of that sort of learning on the fly on a job with like a very hard deadline of we have a launch day for this and we're bringing balloons and the press, so you have to have it delivered for this. So yeah, trying to figure out our internal process for that was difficult, but so rewarding. Like seeing your work, like we're so used to seeing our work like just ethereally, like it just exists on a hard drive somewhere and sometimes on a screen, and then suddenly like to walk into somewhere like the Outernet and be like, oh, people are interacting with it. There are children who are like pointing at it, and there's a bit in it that's like we mean to make kind of scary, because the animation we did was for Gallup, which is a anti-LGBTQ plus abuse charity. So we wanted to make these really cute characters that then get like hate crimed essentially by other characters. And we sort of pitched this idea, and it was like, oh, and then they all turn on the audience and they break through the glass and they're really like angry at you. And we were like, they're not going to go for this because it's scary. And they were just like, no, that's what we want. Great, let's do that. And we visited the Outernet a few times, and it really draws, like, especially kids, like just looking up at these giant screens. It's so rewarding, like just seeing that. Like, they are terrified sometimes, so we've scared some children, but
they've learned something.
But
they're wicked.
But yeah, just seeing like other people interacting with the work like live is so good. Like it's such a rewarding process. So hardest project, but it seems like the most rewarding.
Yeah, no, that is incredible. Like the closest thing I can put comparison to is either, actually. It's either, when you're at a film festival and you're screening something, and you can feel the audience a lot of the time. But on a much more simple level, there'd be things like 3D printing.
Yeah,
it's got that same, like, you designed that and you print it and you can hold it, you can interact with it. Like there's,
like you've made like little versions of your avatar head, right?
Yes.
Oh, you brought one with you?
There's a few, yeah. I mean, that's me right now.
That's just your face.
That's just you're looking at me. This is a bit. But yeah, there's,
yeah, because you
like that comparativeness. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you go on.
I was going to say, because you've just finished a film recently, haven't you? Yeah.
Yes, The Dog in the Long Grass.
Yeah, it looks so nice. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet because I've not been to a festival, because we're festival running at the same time.
Yeah, that's always unless they play together.
Yeah, that'd be cute. But yeah, you've had a chance to watch it with an audience?
I have, yeah. It screened. Let's see, where did it screen? It screened first in Lewis, and that was awesome, actually. It's because it's a very like Sussex film, and it's supposed to feel very, very British, but it's very like it's all the locations are like recognisable in Sussex.
Yeah.
And it's one of those films, as we've kind of alluded to earlier, where it's like, it's just this kind of film. We promise it's just this kind of film.
They've got really simple, cute eyes and a very sort of, they've sort of flat shaded. Like, nothing's going to happen with these guys.
It's just a dog in the long grass. It's beautiful. It's just, it's just so happy.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting film, actually, because it's never sad. Like, there's no like sadness in it. But it's one of those films that, because when I finished it, with like the score and everything like that, I just sat there and I watched it. And I watched it like 5 times, having just finished it, and every time I was like proper crying. I was like proper crying at the end. And it wasn't because it was just like, oh my God, that was so much work, it's done. It wasn't that. As much as I would also be valid in doing that. But no, there's something about it which it just sort of is the whole point. It gets you to reflect on the themes of life and death.
Yeah,
let's say. And yeah, in the audience, everyone, you can sort of feel it. Like, you can hear people laughing at the right moments because again, we loosen people up with laughter. You're like, yeah, it's just this kind of film.
Get the defenses down.
Yeah, that's it. And then by the end, you hear these,
and you're like, yes, got him.
Gotcha. Yeah,
it's like it's like you don't want to be the one person cheering at someone weeping, but God damn, that felt good. But
when you're the creator, yes, you can. When those children are afraid when they're in the Outernet, you go, yes!
Oh, yeah.
Take that, child.
That'll teach you.
Yeah.
No, that must feel amazing. Like, like the closest that I've come to, like, I'm quite like, I don't cry very often at films. So, like, I went to go and see, there's a film I went to go and see with a couple of mates of mine. And, it's like the usual, like, lads go into the cinema together, where it's just like, we're going to see this film. And I can't remember what film it was called, but it had like Bjork in it. We came out of the cinema and both of them were just like tears streaming down their face, and I was just like,
Nice.
oh, it's fine. And so I feel a bit like a psychopath sometimes. but yeah, when the closest I've come to like sort of weeping at my own work is when like the music comes in. And because you work on something and it's just silent for so long, and then someone else looks at your work, interprets it in a certain way, and then you get like what is close to the final score on a version of your film, and you watch it, and it is just like watching a fresh film again. And you're like, oh cool, that's not, and you see it like with fresh eyes after working on it for years, and that's kind of the closest sort of emotionally I've come to that kind of thing. Because do you do your own music for? Not really. I mostly have composers come in, amazing composers. I think we had a very similar thing. Well, that's interesting actually, because often my process is it's more music video-y with most of the things I do. Occasionally, I have music composed afterwards, but most of the time, I need the music first. Interesting.
With just my process, like it's often something that I would find or contact a composer, and I would say, this is what I'm after, and they would compose something for it, and then I'd use the music to write it before I've started anything more than the concept. And then I would. It's similar. Actually, it's a very similar way to how I work with actors as well. Like usually, I know actors, and I can see a particular potential in them, and then I'd write a character for them. So I suppose it's quite similar in that sense. But I just find so much direction from music in a weird way. It almost like directs the director. And yeah,
that's a fascinating way to work. Cause like, I really want to try that out.
It's again, if you've done, because you've done music videos as well, but like that, it's just that way around basically. You're using that core drive for every design decision as well.
And then you're making like sort of editing choices based on like where the music hits and things like that. That's exciting. Like it's a thought to do for like a narrative film rather than like you said, we've done a music video before where it's like, okay, these are the lyrics, this is what kind of film you want to make, and that, but having your own film that you do first, and then you almost skip a step. We would be skipping a step for us anyway, where it's like, okay, now music, and then that sounds fun.
It is fun. I can concur. Especially when it's something that is quite loose. And you're still in contact with a composer. If they want it, if you need it to change length, they can. But you use that as your basis. It's actually quite good to try with individual characters as well. So each a piece of music for a particular character. I've done that before, and that's really fun, very fun.
Yeah, we were working with like such a good composer for our film called Ellie Rainsbury, and they were. And they made us like such a great score where we sort of went through beat by beat, sort of individually. Like, okay, so here's where our character's theme is. We've got like a different theme for like togetherness that we're trying to weave in there as well, and just all the different like little light motifs that we put in. We just wanted to make sure it all kind of weaved in really nicely, and it's just so much fun, like talking to a musician. Because it's like something that I just have I have no concept of. So now I'm client, and I'm going in saying, okay, I want it to feel cozy.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And their music producer comes in and goes, I need more than that.
Really cozy. It's fun, like talking to people who. Like musicians who are just great at interpreting the film their way, and like interpreting like what your intention is, and just having them like go and do their magic, I guess. It's great.
Cheers to all the incredible composers out there. another sip of
slurp.
Oh yeah. Cheers to them.
sort of thinking about the fact that you kind of work on, because you work on a lot of your own custom works as well as client-based stuff as well. But again, you don't have to disclose this if you're like, no, it's a secret. But is there something that you've like always had in the back of your mind that you're like, I really want to do this film?
Well, internally we've got like a few ideas that we want to hit next for films. Like we've sort of got outlines for a couple of shorts that we want to do, and just if down the road we get a chance to make a feature film, it's like, okay, we've got a couple ideas for that as well, just sort of in the back pocket. So
yeah, nice.
I think the sort of like real beauty of like having your own like studio is you can just like attack a project like that if you want to, and then you make room around your other paid work to do it. And it's the same with like freelancers as well, where it's like if they've got their own project they want to do, they can go and like work in a studio for 6 months of the year, spend another 6 months like just making a film. And because it's just me and Lindsay, we've got quite low overheads. Like we haven't got studio space apart from our spare room, and we haven't got staff yet. So there is more scope for us to like have a crack at another film or another thing. But usually, if we've got a style that we want to try, we'll just make an Instagram post, and it's like okay, we'll test that out. Like if you go on our Instagram, you can sort of see what the look of like loneliness and laundry is, and if you scroll down you can see all the test projects that were sort of seeded beforehand. Like here's where we tried to incorporate 3D paint strokes into this project, and here's where we tried to do like sketchy lines over 3D. And you can sort of when we're doing it, we're not like making those conscious decisions, but like looking back, like just the other day I was just scrolled back through our Instagram and it's like, oh, it does make thematic sense now. I can sort of I can join all the dots, which is like really satisfying to do. But just low stakes projects to test the bigger stuff, I guess.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a really logical way of doing it, and also then having like a set of ideas that you're like, yeah, we'll tuck those away until we've either got the right time, the right energy, or the right sort of technical approach to something after trying certain things,
or even just the right mood. Because like we had like two or three films at the beginning of starting Chicken Fruit that was like, okay, which one are we going to pick to do? And when we started, like, it was very early pandemic, and it's like we have a story about going like that's set on like a holiday, and we're like, we can't make that one right now because nobody wants to leave their house, so we can't do that one. So we made like the one that's more kind of like insular and isolated, and so we chose to do that one. Whereas like I think the general sort of mood is leaning more towards like, okay, we could make this holiday one now. So it's just sort of picking which one feels right as well. Like your work that you sort of do as well. Like, did you know what style you were going to do? The Dog in the Long Grass, or did you just sort of go, I want it to be something like this, and you kind of found it along the way, or did you have like an idea of what you wanted to do?
It was a bit of both. There's a really beautiful illustrator, David Pogran, and he does these incredible illustrations with occasional like slight animations to them, and I was like, I want more. I want that to be like animated. And that entire film, The Dog on the Long Grass, was done while I was commuting to and from work on the bus. So the entire thing is animated on a bus.
Nice.
And for that reason, I was like, right, I need the like line work. To be fair, even stuff that I've been doing with clean line work, I do it on a bus as well. But this one, I was like, I want something, because I had 4 weeks to get it from start to finish as well.
God.
And so I was like, I want a style that I don't need to be fine tuning the edges and things like that. So I want straight from roughs to render, basically. And and I wanted that. It took a while to get the right brush, I'll say that, like going through lots of those. So a couple of tests, but given the turnaround of when it needed to be done, from concept to done, it was like, right, what is an efficient way that also mimics that kind of David Pogran style that's simplistic? So it was like a combination of those things.
Didn't realize it was such a quick turnaround. That's really fun. Like
it was wild.
Yeah. Like there's so much, there's a certain type of energy to those kind of projects, isn't there? Where it's like you've had to make like split second decisions on so many like elements. So it's like it's kind of like the rawest it'll be. I guess.
But it's one of those things that when you do these kind of quick turnaround ones, you can't do them forever in terms of like you've got to be like, right, I'm going to have a break after that, and then maybe a half year's time we'll go, right, we'll do another one.
For a few years we did I don't know if you have heard of Cardiff Quick Draw, where
I have.
We it's part of like Cardiff Animation Festival, and the idea is it's like an animation jam where you spend 48 hours trying to make a film on a certain theme, and then once it's done, it will be screened at Cardiff Animation Festival, which they're always really fun to do, and you get really into it for like a weekend, and then afterwards you're like, oh my god, it kind of frees up your head. You're like, if I can do this in 48 hours, what else can I do? And then you've got to sort of calm yourself down. It's like, you can't do this every weekend. I know you want to right now, but no. No, we did that for
every other weekend.
Weekend after. We did that for a few years, and it's so liberating, like those kind of quick projects where it's like just get an idea out, all your first like ideas just to see what they look like, and it's really fun. Love
that kind of energy. Now I'm gonna bring us round to our kind of like our wind up questions. So is that we always have the same three every sort of time, and the first one I think is always the hardest question, and that is, if you could give any advice to a younger animator you, what would it be?
I would say that there's time, I guess. So like I think when you're sort of like younger, especially me anyway, I was just like, okay, I have to make this as sort of quick as possible because I'm not going to have time to do another one, and I'm trying to like squeeze in as much as possible in the shortest amount of time, because it's like I don't know how like long I've got in this career to do this sort of thing, and trying to cram it all in. And I think just like with the concept, with the sort of perspective of like a few years, I would tell some sort of like college, uni level Jonny that like, slow down. There's time to make everything that you want. if just you don't have to like cram it all in, I guess, and no need to panic. Just work on things that sort of interest you, and just not really. I just tell them to chill out. Just chill out, mate. Like you don't have to like try and impress everyone. Just like do what you want. Like
that's great advice.
Make yourself happy, boy.
Sit down. Now look after yourself.
Make yourself happy, but make me happy. Because I'm you.
No, that's such good advice. I feel like I definitely fall foul of this, and this idea of you got to push yourself so hard all the time, got to impress everyone. But there's definitely it's definitely so important to go, no, it's okay not to do that.
I'd probably tell him to like also get a life. Like I'd just say, look, you don't have to make your entire personality like design and animation. Like not like if you can identify what's Helvetica and what's Ariel, great party trick, boy. But like just go and find other interests as well, because it's very easy to just like when you're younger just make, for me, like I said, it's just making that my whole personality. And it's just like, you can have other interests, you know?
Yeah. And yeah, I suppose the like constructive thing from this is like, when you do find those other interests, it fuels that creative interest
Definitely,
again anyway. And from these way more interesting perspectives than anyone could have if they just did that one thing. And I think that is so important, especially as a creative or anyone, to be honest. You need to like shift that perspective so that you can make what your core thing is so much better.
Yeah, because you find out so much more about like what you care about just from being away from your desk. So just going out and finding out what else interests you, and then don't end up making a film about making animation, and then it's just a spiral.
yeah, it's very niche. There's definitely an audience, but good to flex the wings. Now, in terms of projects, do you have something coming up next now that you finished that real massive one? Have you got something you're like, maybe we'll do that next?
We've got a few things that we've done, like delivered, that are waiting release. So it's like we've signed all the NDAs and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, those will come out eventually. So, so it's always like just such a... in your head, it sounds like a tantalizing answer. It's like, oh, just watch out because it's a big problem. But it's, you know, it's always like, oh, we can't talk about that. So, we've got a couple of those coming out, and then we've got a couple of films that we want to maybe start having a go at pre-production of, and just a couple of bits of client work. But yeah, it's just, you know, while it's just me and Lindsay in the studio, just like taking the opportunity to just like, you know, do what we like to, just try and figure out what projects we like to do, and just see what's fun, really.
Yeah. I suppose it must be odd actually, because the last time you were in that stage of, this is for creating our own project, not for anyone else. But we get to choose what it is. Like that would have been like 2.5 years ago for Loneliness and Laundry, right? You said it was 3 years?
5, yeah.
It was 5? Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was like, I think we started it in 2019.
Right. Oh, I see.
But yeah, it's just... Yeah, I think, oh god, it was a long time ago. But yeah, we're just at that stage now where like a few projects have wrapped up, and you know, there's time before the next big one comes in, and it's just like maybe a bit of breathing space. And then we'll attack the next big one.
Yeah, enjoy the summer for a bit before we isolate ourselves inside again.
More sombreros and ice creams and milkshakes.
Oh, totally behind that, 100%.
Like, I'm just going to get to the back of that queue as soon as we're done here. I'm just going to go back in again.
I concur every time. And it takes that long between each episode. I just have to wait. That's why there's so long between each episode. I'm just queuing the whole time to get back in again.
Yeah, all the next guests are just in the queue.
They are. I just try and like sneak in with them, you see.
Yeah. Well, no, you've got the permanent residency in this booth, and then it's just whoever turns up with your milkshake.
Yeah. Do you want to sit here? They're just going to no. Okay. I'll wait until someone says yes.
Yeah.
So the last question is probably the easiest question, and that is, where do people find you if they want to check out your work or get in touch?
We are primarily on Instagram. We are Chicken Fruit Studio on Instagram. We're on Blue Sky. We were on Twitter, but no anymore. We've got LinkedIn, Facebook, we've got all that kind of stuff.
Everyone.
You can find us on there, and all of our work is on our website, chickenfruit.studio.
Perfect. Brilliant. And we'll put all those links in the description as well, if you prefer that. But yeah, it's been lovely chatting with you, Jonny. I'm so glad you enjoyed your thick strawberry.
I loved it. It was amazing. I'm coming back.
My lips are definitely a little quite pursed after my lemon one. It was possibly too much lemon, but you know, you live and learn. You got to try new things from time to time.
Do you know what? I really commend you for pitch shifting your voice down in post to compensate for
the shrillness.
The shrillness, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I've got it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.